Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You are not what we made you believe. What if you had been conditioned to believe that you are less intelligent than you really are? From the first school days, you were given a place, a note, a label. You were told that you were average, distracted, lazy, sometimes even incapable. And you, still malleable child, believed these words. You integrated them, as if they were the truth about your being. You looked in the school mirror and saw yourself reduced to an average, a report card, a ranking. School taught you to answer correctly, but not to ask the right questions. She rewarded you for your obedience, never for your imagination. When you dreamed while looking out the window, you were called to order. When you doubted, we corrected you. When you proposed another way of thinking, you were put back in the boxes. Little by little, you unlearned how to think for yourself. More, what if your failure was just a lie that was taught to you? What if you never failed, but were simply forced into a mold that wasn't made for you? The problem is not you. It is the system that claims to measure intelligence with rigid rules, fixed schedules, methods that ignore human diversity. Because no, not everyone learns in the same way. Not everyone thinks in straight lines. Before starting this video, don't forget to like this video, because it gives us a lot of strength to continue sharing beneficial content. And I invite you to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell to stay informed of our next publications on the Islamic faith. Thank you, and good video. So ask yourself this essential question. What if you weren't late, but just following another path? A freer path, slower perhaps, but deeply yours. This video won't give you a ready-made answer. She will offer you a mirror that does not reflect the image that we have constructed for you, but the one that you have always carried, under the layers of conditioning. Prepare to deconstruct what you believed to be true about yourself, to question the inner voice that tells you you are not enough. Because this voice is not yours. It is that of the system. And today, it's time to silence her. The myth of IQ and good students' IQ. 3 letters that almost became a verdict. Originally, the intelligence quotient was just a tool designed at the beginning of the 20th century by Alfred Binet to identify children in need of appropriate academic support. Ironically, Binet himself insisted that this test should never used to measure fixed intelligence or personal value. But over time, IQ has become a label, a hierarchy, a justification for elitism. In our schools, being a good student often means excelling in mathematics, logic, or rapid memorization. Those who write slowly, who daydream too much, or who ask strange questions are often cast aside, classified as different. And yet, these are often the ones who carry flashes of genius within them. What if you were made to believe that you were stupid, just because you thought otherwise? Howard Gardner, a psychologist at Harvard, shattered this myth with his theory of multiple intelligences. For him, there is no only one form of intelligence, but at least 8: logical, linguistic, musical, corporeal, interpersonal, intrapersonal, naturalistic, and spatial. A child who dances with grace, who feels the emotions of others, or who speaks to plants with respect, is perhaps much more intelligent than we believe. Think about Albert Einstein, considered slow at school, has Steve Jobs, who left university, has Thomas Edison, kicked out of school because he was too distracted. What the system saw as failure was just another form of intelligence, more intuitive, more visionary, more free. But here's the trap. If you are told often enough that you are average, you end up believing it. You limit yourself. You no longer explore your inner genius because it doesn't fit into the right boxes. And all this because of a test, a grade, a judgment. It's time to take back the power of what it means to be smart, not according to their standards, but according to your inner truth. The school formats, it does not liberate. The school claims to educate you, but in reality, she conditions. From a very young age, you sit in a line, in a closed room, facing an adult who tells you what to think, what to remember, what to forget. You are taught to raise your hand, not to speak without permission, to repeat answers, not to look for questions, to obey, not to create. The thinker Noam Chomsky denounced this system as a mechanism of social control. He states that the modern school is designed to produce docile individuals, ready to serve an industrial society that values efficiency, not enlightenment. It does not train critical minds. It trains efficient workers who respect the established order without calling it into question. What if you dare to think outside the box? We're punishing you. Are you questioning authority? We isolate you. Are you asking too many questions? You are accused of insolence. Doubt is discouraged. Curiosity is seen as an obstacle, risk as a danger. This system doesn't care about your uniqueness. He wants you to be interchangeable. John Holt, one of the greatest critics of education, said, "School is a prison for the mind." And in this prison, you are taught to be afraid of making mistakes, to keep silent to be loved, to follow so as not to be rejected. Creativity is a luxury, rarely rewarded, often mocked. The school doesn't want creators. She wants employees. People who respect schedules, who accept the rules without discussion, who don't dream too hard. This is why so many geniuses go unnoticed within its walls, because their light disturbs order. But then, are you living your life, or the one that was programmed for you? Have you become what you wanted, or what you were allowed to become? It's time to look back and recognize what was stolen from you. Your freedom to think, to doubt, to create, to fail. It's not too late to take it back. You just have to get out of this invisible cage and remember that the learning begins when you disobey formatting. Why failure is an illusion. You think you failed because you were told so. Because you got a 4 out of 20, a dry comment at the bottom of a paper, or a disapproving look during an oral exam. And you integrated this idea as a truth. I am not made to succeed. But if failure was just one appearance game, a control mechanism, a distorting mirror, how many geniuses have failed at school? Albert Einstein, struggling with school methods. Richard Branson, dyslexic, left school at 16. Steve Jobs, fired from his own project. Oprah Winfrey, fired from a TV channel. These names, today synonymous with success, were first perceived as losers, by systems too narrow to understand their vision. For what? Because failure in our societies is not an experience but a condemnation. We judge you for a moment, a note, a number, and we attach a label to you. Late, incapable, not good enough. But that's not true. You never failed. You were simply an apprenticeship. Thomas Edison, after thousands of attempts to create the light bulb, said, "I did not fail. I just found 10,000 ways that don't work." This is the real process. Try, fall, learn, start again. School didn't teach you to fail. She taught you to be afraid of failure, to believe that the slightest misstep would define you forever. But it is this fear, and not failure itself, that imprisons you. Failure is a masked teacher. It shows you what's not working, it refines your look, it strengthens your perseverance. Every mistake, every rejection, every painful silence is a fragment of your transformation. There is no progress without clumsiness, no creation without initial chaos. So redefine this word. Failure is not the end. It is instruction before breakthrough. It's not a wall, it's a mirror. He's not saying you're incapable. He says you are on the way. And maybe what they called your failure was simply the birth of your true journey. the real forms of intelligence that schools ignore. The school measures your intelligence through equations, essays, grammar, rules. If you master logic and language, you are valued. Otherwise, you're sidelined, sometimes humiliated, often forgotten. However, human intelligence is not limited to a few academic skills. It is multiple, subtle, profound. Emotional intelligence, for example. This ability to understand one's own emotions, to manage anger, sadness, envy, to feel without drowning. School teaches you to solve abstract problems, but never to calm an inner storm. However, in real life, it's emotional intelligence that keeps you from falling apart when things go wrong. It is what allows us to listen, to forgive, to choose peace instead of reaction. Social intelligence, it manifests itself in the ability to create links, to understand the dynamics of a group, to find one's place in a relationship. Some children are gifted at sensing the atmosphere in a room, at diffusing a conflict, at motivating others. But in classrooms, this gift is ignored, worse, sometimes punished. Because too talkative, too distracted, too in the mood. And what about creative intelligence? The one who invents a transform, imagines worlds. It manifests itself in a drawing, a dance movement, a new idea. But the school prefers expected answers to crazy ideas. We reward conformity, not imagination. There is also l'intelligence intuitive, the one who does not follow any reasoning but feels things before they are said. It is difficult to explain, but powerful. Some people make decisions without apparent logic, and they turn out to be right. Others sense intentions, feel energies, read between the lines. This form of intelligence does not fit into any Excel table. And finally, spiritual intelligence, the one that pushes us to seek meaning, to connect events, to listen to an inner voice. She doesn't give an answer, but she asks the right questions. Why am I here? What can I bring to the world? This intelligence is often mocked, considered irrational. However, it is at the heart of the greatest internal revolutions. Schools ignore these forms of intelligence because they are not quantifiable, because they do not serve immediate productivity, because they are beyond control. But you, what is the intelligence that you carry, but that no one has ever helped you to see? What if that was precisely your true strength? The brain is not a machine, it is a garden. You were made to believe that your brain was a machine, that you had to put data into it like you feed a hard drive, that the more facts you stored, the smarter you were. But this vision is cold, rigid, incomplete. In reality, your mind is a garden, not a computer. A garden needs care, patience, light. It does not work on command. It grows when it is well nourished, when it breathes, when it receives the water of curiosity and the sun of inspiration. It does not store, it transforms. It grows. It adapts. Neuroscience confirms it today. The brain is plastic. This means that it can modify, reorganize, evolve. What you think is a limit is often just wasteland. You are not locked into a fixed capacity. Every time you learn something new, make an effort to understand, experience an intense emotion, your brain changes physically. New connections are created, paths are opening, seeds germinate. But for this indoor garden to thrive, you need the right environment. A fertile soil of kindness, freedom to explore, mistakes to enrich the earth, and above all, real emotions. Because nothing grows in a climate of fear or judgment. It is joy, curiosity, the love of understanding that makes the deepest thoughts flourish. The school often only sees you as a container to fill. But you are not here to absorb, you are here for flourish. To grow within you unique ideas, new visions, forms of intelligence that no one else will ever be able to reproduce. So ask yourself this question. Who cultivates your mind today? Do you feed your thoughts? Are you giving your dreams enough water? Did you let someone lay concrete on your indoor floor? It's time to become again the gardener of your own intelligence. To choose what you plant. To remove weeds from the packaging. and to believe deeply that even the most damaged seeds can still give birth to a forest. Relearning to learn. Learn. This word has been drained of its magic, too often associated with boredom, pressure, long hours spent reciting lessons that we forget the next day. But deep down, true learning does not begin in a classroom. It begins where curiosity is born. A child learns to walk without a lecture. He falls, starts again, adjusts. He experiments. He learns through the body, through momentum, through intuition. This natural way of learning is in us from the start. But the system has stifled it. Relearning to learn, it's returning to this primitive curiosity. It's asking questions even when no one expects them. It's testing an idea, observing what works, changing angles. It's building a project with your own hands, making mistakes, laughing at your failures, and starting again with more wisdom. The self-taught people understood this. Elon Musk learned rocket physics by reading specialist books. Leonardo da Vinci wrote down hundreds of questions in his notebooks every day. Malala Yousafzai, deprived of education, continued her learning with passion, well beyond the walls of a school. Active learning is an open path. It involves reading, in-depth discussions, inspiring mentors, videos, personal essays. Reading a book can transform the way you see the world. Listening to a mentor can open an inner door for you that you didn't know existed. Building a concrete project, a video, a blog, an application, a book, a garden, means learning with your whole being, not just with your head. And perhaps this is where the real knowledge lies. The one that is lived, not the one that is recited. So ask yourself this question. What if real school was life? If every conversation was a lesson? If every pain was a lesson? If every passion was a teacher? You don't need to wait for authorization to learn. You don't need a degree to become an expert in what you love. What you are looking for cannot be found in a program. It is in your inner fire. Learn how to learn again, not to fit a mold, but to free yourself from all the molds. The true goal of intelligence, building a meaningful life. We have often spoken to you about intelligence as a measure, a number, a comparison. But in reality, intelligence is not a grade. It is not a race or a competition. Intelligence is your ability to adapt, to create, to free yourself. S'adapter is to recognize that life never follows a set path. It's accepting the unexpected, learning from obstacles and coming out stronger. Create, it's finding within yourself the answers to questions that no one has yet asked. It's giving birth to ideas, works, solutions, ways of being that didn't exist before you. And to break free, it's refusing to be defined by the expectations of others. It's choosing a life that resonates with your inner truth. But how do you know if you're smart? Perhaps another question should be asked. Does your life resemble you? Because deep down, the true purpose of intelligence is not to prove something. It's about building something. An existence that has meaning. An existence that thrills you, and not just those who look at you. Get back to basics. Success is not a house, a title, a salary. Success is having found what makes you get up every morning with desire. It's knowing that what you do contributes to your own peace, and perhaps even that of others. Your life will never be rated out of 20. It will be felt. And no one can give you that rating. It comes from you, of what you feel deep down, of what you offer to the world, about what you leave behind. And if you stopped for a moment to ask yourself the real question, what gives meaning to my life? You don't need to have all the answers today, but start looking. Create your own definition of success. And above all, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Because with every step, you're not just living. You bring something unique into existence, a life that belongs only to you.